It's not grooming, and she herself says that it's not. In saying that, there were a few moments where we ended up exchanging things that maybe we should not have exchanged. I prioritized how her comments about me being pretty made me look, and so we did it. That was wrong, and that is against the law.
Jesus Christ, that's
Bloody Marshall!
Hello everybody, my name is Bloody Marshall and welcome back to another video. Another day, another person that I know that's been exposed for abhorrent shit. Today is a very, very sad day in the Gacha world, alright? One of the biggest commentary YouTubers, ItzCrowva, actually got exposed for some pretty disgusting shit. This includes grooming and manipulation, which we're gonna get into today. Now, I actually spoke to ItzCrowva in the past when I was working on a video talking about an individual named Gacha, and I'll actually bring him up later on. This isn't going to be a Gacha part 4, alright? We're not talking about him today. But I just want to bring him up because it seems like Gacha really likes to bring in ItzCrowva whenever he gets accused of something. If you don't know, Gacha is a pedophile. He e-sexed a 13-year-old, or who he thought to be a 13-year-old when it was really a sting. And he really thought that they were 13-year-old. And you want to know how old he was at the time? He was 18. He was 18 years old, and he actually told them that it was fine that they were 13 and that he would still date them. Now, I bring Gacha up because whenever he makes a community post or makes a video about ItzCrowva, it's not because he cares about the situation. It's about pushing the blame onto the person that accused him of also doing some pedophilic shit. Now, Gacha, just for the record, is a pedophile. They are a pedophile, and they're going to comment on this video because in the past, whenever I brought up ItzCrowva, I really at the time didn't look into the situation, and I didn't think that it was that big of a deal until when I looked into it and I looked into the documents that's been released about them. It's a completely different idea to me now, alright? I actually care. But this is to say, Gacha should not be completely ignored, alright? If you see any video from Gacha about ItzCrowva in which he kind of sounds like he's innocent and he's just talking about ItzCrowva being a bad person, well, guess what? Gacha is a bad person. They're nearly on the same level, alright? Also, whenever I cover anything in this video when it comes to ItzCrowva, I'm not going to bring up anything that's been completely disproven by ItzCrowva, alright? Because there's a lot to fucking cover here. First, the document came out, and it was the original document in which ItzCrowva responded to in an entire video, which we're also going to be talking about, and then the document was edited afterwards to respond to everything that ItzCrowva responded to. On April 16th, 2024, a former friend of ItzCrowva would come out and make a document accusing them of manipulation and grooming of a 12-year-old. In the document, it exposes that ItzCrowva was in a relationship with a person named Ruby. Now, Ruby is a girl and they are 12 years old. ItzCrowva, in fact, was dating them. And it did not last very long. It was only like 2 weeks that they were dating. However, at the time, ItzCrowva was 16 years old, which is very, very disgusting. And I think this is very important to mention, that just because ItzCrowva themselves is a minor as well, does not make it okay for a 16-year-old at any point to date a person who's not even a teenager yet. Keep this in the back of your mind as we get into ItzCrowva's response video later on, because ItzCrowva himself actually completely opens a different can of worms, which we'll later get into. The actual creator of this document, as far as I know, is completely unknown, and they're actually a former friend of ItzCrowva. They actually met in 2021 when ItzCrowva joined their Discord server, and this is where things started to hit a very, very dark place. ItzCrowva on multiple occasions would send very, very disgusting messages to a person who is obviously uncomfortable with it. Now, the creator of the document, when talking to ItzCrowva, tried to sympathize with them, but it started to turn more and more sour. At one point, ItzCrowva even tried to sell nudes to the creator of this document in one of their Discord messages. That would eventually lead to the creator of the document actually blocking ItzCrowva completely. One of the weirder messages that happened between the two before the creator of the document actually blocked CrowVa was that CrowVa brought up that them and a person named Nova was talking about their attraction to kids, and CrowVa was saying how they felt confused about it, which there's not really anything to be confused about, because according to CrowVa at the time, they were just attracted to the people of their age, which is fine. However, it's such a weird thing to bring up if it's not that big of a deal. I mean, if you're only attracted to 16-year-olds and you're 16, I don't see a problem with that, but it does become a problem when you turn 30 and you're still attracted to 16-year-olds. Another huge thing that was exposed in this document, which was kind of overlooked in the document, it tried to make it sound as if it wasn't as bad as it actually was, but it does get worse later on. CrowVa actually owned their own Discord server. Now, the problem with this was, much like the Discord servers I've covered in the past, it was filled with a lot of minors. Naturally, it's going to be filled with a lot of minors considering they're in the Gacha community, which is predominantly contains children, all right? And in this Discord server, which was full of children, they all had to send an age to verify their age, and they were all let into the server. However, at the time, CrowVa completely hid their age from everybody, which means while they get to stay anonymous and keep their age intact, everybody else had to leak their age to be let into the server. That's one problem. Another problem with this is that CrowVa actually ended up sending a lot of sexual messages within the general chat of the server, all right? And this is full of minors. This isn't an adult chat, all right? It's not full of adult grown people. These are actual kids, and you can noticeably see that there's a lot of uncomfortable people that don't like the messages that CrowVa is sending, but CrowVa just carries on. They can't stop, all right? They can't stop themselves from making such disgusting remarks, especially in front of some children. Now, during the time of all of this happening, CrowVa's actual bio in their Discord account was actually revolting. They literally are pretty self-conscious. I mean, they sit there and say, oh yeah, I'm so cool that I can make an e-dating Discord server with 12-year-olds and kids in it. Like, what the fuck? Throughout CrowVa's conversations with the creator of this document, before, of course, the creator blocked them, CrowVa continues to show like pedophilic ideologies and tries to justify the fact that a 12-year-old is with an older person. Like, they try to justify that by saying, oh yeah, but I heard that 12-year-old females are a lot more mature than 12-year-old males. Which, even if that's the case, I don't think that's a very good argument to say, oh yeah, so you should be able to date a 12-year-old female because they're more mature. Like, what the fuck is CrowVa's logic? And they show a lot of this to the person of the creator of the document, which also led to them blocking CrowVa. But this is just foreshadowing, all right? Because it starts to go from them saying all this ridiculous wild shit to them actually doing what they're actually saying. As mentioned before with the 12-year-old Ruby girl in which CrowVa dated them. So what did CrowVa have to say about all of this? Well, thankfully we get to know, because they released a 36-minute long video trying to defend themselves. And I say trying because boy did they not do a very good job.
There was a doc posted by my ex-best friend that went into heavy detail accusing me of really pedophilic behavior. Now, the doc is heavy, very, very heavy, and a lot of people who've read it would agree that it was heavy. Now, my original plan was to just admit to the doc, despite how highly inaccurate a lot of it is, and just sit like that. But my friends actually encouraged me to take a look through the doc.
Whoa. Let me get this right. So, CrowVa saw that someone released a document accusing them of pedophilic behavior, and they said, let me just admit to it so that it goes away. Alright, like, does this actually run across people's minds when they have serious accusations, especially of something that's illegal? This is what goes across your mind? Oh yeah, I'm sure it'll die down and nobody will care that someone literally just called me a pedophile and I haven't responded to it. And the fact that it took CrowVa's friends, which I don't even know if these people are real, it took CrowVa's friends to tell CrowVa to, hey, go defend yourself. What the, like, what?
Oh, Ruby. This is where stuff actually is bad and potentially problematic, because Ruby and I had quite a, whilst non-sexual, it was quite intimate and involved some sexual things, and that we had a relationship for a few weeks that had quite a big age gap.
Okay, now here CRowva admits a few things, right? For one, they admit that yes, indeed, they dated a 12-year-old while they were 16. 2, they also admitted that they do believe that is a big age gap. And 3, they also admitted that it was a sexual relationship. But you're probably saying, hey, Bloody, but he said it wasn't. Well, first of all, if I go and sit there and say, yeah, it wasn't a sexual relationship, but we did sexual things, what does that mean? I mean, if you're in a relationship and you do sexual things, wouldn't that make it a sexual relationship because you do sexual things? You just said that you and a 12-year-old did sexual things, which that in itself is fucking abhorrent. But then you go back and say, oh, it's not a sexual relationship though, we just did sexual things. Now, a big part of this video is that CRowva actually brings in Ruby, this 12-year-old girl, to testify against the person who created the doc and essentially say that CRowva's innocent. Well, just go ahead and listen to this. It's kind of long, so I understand if you want to skip ahead, but just listen to this.
Right, firstly, I'm not fucking retarded. I know what grooming is, and whilst we had a quite big age gap, I was not groomed. Let me be explicitly clear, I was not confronted about any of this. The screenshots were just taken out of context to make Crow look bad, really. I'm just chilling doing hard crack or something, something like that. And then I get a DM from my second favourite bird, and this time she's yapping about a document. CRowva asked me not to say stuff like this, but I met the girl, and she was honestly really fucking weird. Leave that in or I will cry. Please, Crow. People couldn't have bigger age gaps without it immediately becoming pedophilic. We were two bestie boos that fell together naturally for a little bit. Not once were we ever sexual, nor were boundaries ever crossed. The only wrong thing that happened was a quite above average age gap, and 2 mentally ill crackheads having a few month dependence. But hey, knowing this community, no one's gonna listen to the current victim, right? You guys don't give a flying fuck what I want, you just wanna write a story I wasn't even asked about and cancel someone who, whilst they are severely mentally ill and holy shit do they have problems, isn't what they're being called. This isn't the first time you misinformed fucks just listen to the person calling out and not who was allegedly hurt, but hey, gatekeep girl.
Holy shit. This is one of the funniest moments in any response video that's ever happened on the history of this goddamn platform, alright? Holy shit, alright? If you couldn't make out the incoherent fucking whatever language they were speaking, I'm gonna try to break this down for you, and I'm gonna try to explain why this is so bad, alright? For one, this person, Ruby, actually explains that they've met CRowva in person. They've met CRowva in person, which is one, very, very weird and creepy. But yes, they indeed have met this CRowva in person, and they literally called CRowva weird. They called CRowva weird. Not only that, this whole testimony contradicts what CRowva says in this video. Ruby sits there and says, yeah, we had a relationship and it wasn't pedophilic, and we never did anything sexual. This is a quote. This is a quote from Ruby. You can't get mad at me. I didn't say this shit. Ruby, as a quote, says, we never did anything sexual. Well, that contradicts what CRowva said earlier. That completely contradicts what CRowva said earlier, because they said that they did sexual things, but it wasn't a sexual relationship. They did sexual things versus Ruby saying they didn't. That is a huge contradiction in this entire response video. A very big one, and one that I need answers to now. I need answers, man. I really need answers, because what the fuck type of testimony was that? You're telling me that CRowva brought this person here to defend their name, to make sure that nobody gets anything misconstrued. And not only does this person, in their testimony, I guess you could call it if you can use that word loosely, not only in their testimony do they completely contradict what CRowva says in the actual video, and they also call CRowva weird. Like, what? I'm confused how this could happen. CRowva, did you even watch the actual testimony? Did you listen to it before you put it in your video, in which it made you look like a fucking idiot? Like, how does that happen? How do you listen to that and say, yeah, I think they're defending me? I'm not sure, because I can barely tell what the fuck they're saying so bad that I literally had to write it out and put it on the screen and overlay it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they're defending me. And that's not even to mention that they started off their testimony saying, yeah, I'm not a fucking retard. I know what grooming is. I mean, you're 12 years old. I don't even know if you can spell grooming yet. Obviously, I'm being kind of sarcastic here, but really, like, you're 12 years old and you're gonna sit there and write this giant fucking testimony, and it's obviously made by a 12-year-old, considering they're literally fighting against what CRowva said. They literally called CRowva weird, and they just contradicted CRowva's point by literally saying that CRowva and her had sexual relationships.
Suggest that I had manipulated Ruby into having feelings for me. That is not what happened. Yes, the age gap is big, and it is bigger than, most age gaps people my age have. But we fell together naturally. There were no tactics of manipulation in play. We were just two people who were best friends and who did everything online together, who just happened to catch feelings with each other and decided to call it a relationship for a few weeks to see how it went.
I'm not sure how a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old naturally fall for each other, but to say that there is possibly no manipulation whatsoever and then not show any evidence to prove otherwise is actually fucking hilarious. If you go and watch CRowva's video, which is 36 minutes by the way, they literally sit there and say all of this shit but never ever include any sort of evidence to prove that the entire document is false. They don't show any evidence to show that they're telling the truth or that they're innocent. And once again in this clip, CRowva admits that the age gap is big, which obviously it's true, and it's so true that CRowva can't even sit there and lie about it.
It's not grooming, and she herself says that it's not. In saying that, there were a few moments where we ended up exchanging things that maybe we should not have exchanged. I prioritized how her comments about me being pretty made me look, and so we did it. That was wrong, and that is against the law.
Excuse me, what? Are you fucking kidding me? You made a defense video to defend your name, and you just literally admitted that not only was it weird, but also that you sent images to each other that you shouldn't have? Are we talking nudes here? I mean, I know you threw up the text on the screen that, oh, it's nothing extreme, by the way, but I'm pretty convinced that that's just you listening to yourself say that, and like, oh, people might take that the wrong way, so let me throw up a disclaimer that leaves it even more ambiguous. Like, I don't know. Saying that you sent stuff to each other that you probably shouldn't have is fucking crazy. And another thing that you admitted, which is huge, is that it's illegal. It's highly illegal, actually. In the UK, which they're both in at this time, and I don't think they've moved anywhere, the age of consent is 16. 16. CRowva was 16 at the time, but Ruby was 12, which means indeed CRowva partook in something that was completely illegal and you can go to jail for.
Back in 2021/2022 and for some of 2023, I had a tendency to be quite emotionally manipulative / emotionally abusive. I don't know words, but I had a tendency to complain about my mental health a lot and leverage mental health in arguments.
This is just like a confession fest. I mean, they're literally sitting there and admitting that they've partook in illegal crimes And not only that, they just admitted that they're an emotional manipulator. I mean, that's pretty fucked up.
Despite that being bad, that is not something I'm going to attempt to explain away. A lot of my actions could be explained away, but it doesn't change the fact that I still was quite emotionally manipulative, especially back then. But, like, there is a thing called maturing. Over the last 2.5 years, I have matured a lot in terms of those behaviors, and there isn't any big example of me still doing it that I can think of.
You know, CRowva brings up a really, really good point here. They say that, yeah, people can mature over time, you know? That emotional manipulator that was a manipulator 2 years ago, yeah, that person's completely mature now. But guess what? You want to know something that most mature people do? They take accountability and apologize for what they've done. That's what they do. Mature people like to do that. I don't know, it could just be me, but usually mature people like to apologize for some fucked up shit they've done and not just sit there in a video where they've already admitted to do multiple illegal things, but now they want to say, oh yeah, I matured. But you don't apologize for anything that you did 2 years ago. This isn't like a fucking cancellation situation where people like to bring up shit from 50 years ago. This happened 2 years ago, and they're saying that they matured. Okay, so then apologize for what happened in the past. It's 2 years. It's 2 years, and you just blatantly came out and just said, yeah, I was an emotional abuser, and? Well, like, what about it?
You're one of those heroes, aren't you?
Yeah, after this response video was published, even more evidence came out, and a lot of what the defense document was updated with, I actually agree with. Surprisingly enough, even though I've literally agreed with the document throughout this entire video. Once again, I'm not covering every single thing that CRowva has done, but I'm covering the shit that is literally illegal and completely fucking insane. If you want to know everything CRowva has done that's bad, go ahead and look in the description. I'm linking the document for you to read yourself. It's pretty goddamn lengthy, but it's a good read, considering that it's about a person that should literally be put in prison. Everybody out here really wants to hear what CRowva had to say, and after CRowva said what they had to say, well, it was kind of a whole load of bullshit, alright? A lot of people turn their backs on CRowva because naturally, if there's a wall of evidence versus a person with no evidence and just their word, you're gonna go with the person with all the evidence, which is why I, of course, am going against CRowva. In this new document, CRowva completely gets exposed even more because more screenshots were leaked of them talking to somebody on Discord, in which they asked the person to send nude images of themselves and also told them to self-harm themselves and film videos of themselves. It's pretty fucked up, alright? It's very fucked up. It's illegal, actually. Also, in the rebuttal of this document, which was also added after CRowva's response video, the creator of the document goes ahead and breaks down the whole Ruby point that, oh, they consented though. They just said that it wasn't grooming. Well, guess what? Not only did the creator of the document bring out a huge point that I made early in the video by saying, oh, even though that they said that they consented, and even though they said that they weren't groomed, they're 12 years old. They legally can't even consent to anything, actually. Yeah, the entire rebuttal is pretty long, and obviously, like I've said before, I'm not going to cover every single thing in this video, so if you want to go see it for yourself, the document is down in the description. Go ahead and give it all a good read and gather your own opinion.
亲爱的阿多尼斯，我很抱歉那个人是你的父亲，让我坦诚一点，做一个男人。
If I were in CRowva's shoes, not only would I completely leave the internet, but I'd also probably want to stay on the low, because guess what? Usually, whenever somebody does something like this, they get slammed and go to prison. But guess what? This is in the internet and this is YouTube, so nothing's gonna happen to CRowva. Unfortunately, just like Minilad, you know, Minilad did that whole disgusting thing that he literally could have gone to prison for, but he's still alive and well and free and gets to make YouTube videos and do whatever he wants. So CRowva, if you actually care and you actually think that you should take accountability, leave the internet. Just leave, all right? Some people will say forever. Look, obviously you're not going to do that. If it was my option, if it was my choice, I'd make you leave the internet forever, but obviously we can't physically do that. So just leave. Leave for as long as you think you need, because you're never gonna come back from this. Unless, of course, everything is falsified and everything was fake and this was all just one big plan to get CRowva completely ruined and ruin their career. Which I don't think that's the case. I actually think there's a lot of credibility behind all of the evidence that was shown in this video and shown in the document. But yeah, CRowva, just leave the internet. It's not worth it. But anyways, that's it for today. I'm sorry for all the yapping. Ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Bloody Marshall. If you like the video, go ahead and like it. If you dislike the video, go ahead and dislike it. And I am out.
Cheeseburger.